All right, boat lovers, no boat building for me today, despite the fact it's a gorgeous day. I'm having the day off, and I'm going to head into the studio now and do a little bit of video editing, throw a bunch of this footage together that I've taken over the last couple of weeks, even though I actually lost a full week worth of footage because I was transferring data from my laptop across to an external hard drive that I bought. And not being very tech savvy, somehow I managed to lose about a week's worth of filming. But not to worry, we've got lots of great footage of other things, so there'll be a bit of a jump from where the last video left off, coming into this video where we'll catch up with things. As I say, we've made lots of progress, and really looking forward to showing you guys where we're up to. So no building today, into the video editing suite, as I like to call my little studio, and we'll get another video out to you. All right, we'll catch you soon. Hello boat lovers, welcome to the channel. My name's Steve and I'm single-handedly building Dragonfly. She's a 53 foot or 16.2 meter flat bottom wooden riverboat. I've designed her specifically for the inland and sheltered waters of the River Murray here in South Australia. Join me each week to watch the mayhem and madness of one man single-handedly building a massive flat bottom wooden boat. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of putting the first of those rear bulkheads in at the back of the settee. Successfully got that put into place. And then I got the framing up for the aft cabin roof. Got all the curved beams, gave them a good sand, tidied them up, and got the posts, corner posts in place, and got all my beams up there. Here you can see I'm about to put the roof on, and I'm pretty sure I've got the footage of that, so we'll get to that in a minute. And then after the roof is on, I get stuck into doing the engine bays, or the second of the aft bulkheads, and then the engine bays. Between the two aft bulkheads, I'm going to have the fuel tank and gas bottles. Right, so after getting that piece above the door in place, time to get the roof on, and these sheets are quite heavy, so by putting a clamp on the sheet, it makes it a lot easier to lift up into place. Not so much the weight, just the handling of these things is tricky, especially on my own. So putting a clamp on there is a great way to be able to move the sheets around. And clamping things down there so I can mark it out, drill all my holes. I'll pre-drill my holes for the screws, get those in place. Then I'll be spreading a little bit of glue around and screwing these sheets down into place. Okay, well, that's gone pretty much to plan. The tricky thing now is once I get this sheet all ready to put on and get all the glue on the beams, I have to find a way to lift the sheet into place without sliding it around, because if I slide it around, obviously it's going to push all the glue out of place. So I'll try and lift it up, find a way to balance it with a couple of spaces underneath it, and then lower it down into place onto the beams. So that's my next challenge. The other thing is how to actually lay the sheet down. And what I've found in the past is if I get myself a tension strap with a hook on the end, I can loop that over the edge of the sheet and just let it down in front of me. And if I'm careful and I get the balance right, fingers crossed, everything goes to plan. So here I'm just obviously juggling things. I think I find myself a little timber spacer to sit on the floor, and I hold that in place with my foot with the sheet on top of it and lie it down with the strap. So all quite precarious, but these are the things that you do when you're working on your own. And yeah, so far to date, everything's gone reasonably to plan. Good morning, boat lovers. It is freezing this morning, but back in the boat shed, got a few supplies and things. First thing to do is put the fire on and try and warm this area up, because the epoxy that I use, it does go off, but really you shouldn't use it under 15 degrees Celsius, and it's about 10 degrees in here. So we'll get some lights on. Oh, that's better. I will get this fire going and then show you what I'm up to. Alrighty, so yesterday I put some bulkheads in the transom, and I'm going to finish that off today. I've changed the position of the fuel tank. One of you guys pointed out your concerns about that fuel tank being under where the generator is going to go, and although it's a completely sealed section, fiberglassed in and vented out the sides of the boat, I thought while I have the opportunity to relocate the fuel tank, I might as well do it. And to my surprise, running the fuel tank laterally across the boat between the two rear bulkheads, it's the same capacity as if I put it the other way, and access is actually better. So by doing that, I'm also allowing myself a little bit more room for the generator that's going to go between the engines at the back, and I can vent them really well and sit the generator a little bit lower because there's no fuel tank underneath. So yeah, so that comment got me thinking about it, and although there was not really a safety issue because the fuel tank's completely separated compartment wise from where the generator was going, I put some thought into it and decided, yeah, why not move things and make some more space for the generator. So that's how it's worked out. Once I get this fire going and warm things up, I'll turn the camera around and I'll give you a bit of squizzy of what I did yesterday. We shall get back into it. A very much needed coffee this morning. This little fireplace I bought second hand years ago for the shed, and it is it's been a godsend. It's a slow burner, and it heats this space really well. Despite the rest of the shed being open, it heats this back area, which is where I'm working. So after an hour or two, we'll be warm enough to do the epoxy work, and we'll be good to go. rid of all my scraps. Oh, that feels warmer already. Alrighty, this is where I've been working. Got two bulkheads in the back. I think you've probably seen this one. This one here is actually the back of the boat that the engines or the engine brackets will be connected to. This is a piece of 18mm marine ply, and I'm about to laminate another layer onto that today. So it ends up being 36mm thick. And that gets supported by some framework on the inside here. And the fuel tank, hopefully you can see this when I put the camera over the top. The fuel tank goes down the bottom there up to this height. That's all been wetted out with epoxy and sealed. And there's a little ledge here. So once the tank is in there, it gets built in with a layer of plywood on top that gets fiberglassed into place. And the filler inlet, gauge access, etc. will be here, and that will come right up to the top. And in these sections here, this will be for my gas bottles to go along here, and this will be vented out each side. So any fumes from the gas bottles can be vented directly out the side, and of course there'll be a vent for the fuel tank going out the side as well. So then that frees up this back space here for my generator, because I was having the fuel tanks running this way, but by having them there, I've got more space here. I can make my platform a little bit lower, and I can have my generator here with open sides. So the outboard there, and outboard over here, and the generator in the middle with lots of venting, and of course completely vented out the back. I'll also be soundproofing all of this as much as I can under the decks and along these bulkheads. Of course, can't do much about the sound going out through the back, but as we're sitting forward, that should help stop a lot of the noise sort of coming through the framework of the boat. So that is the plan. Today I'll be laminating this other bulkhead in here to thicken this up, and then once that's all dry, then I make a little bit like when you see on the back of a fiberglass boat, you have an outboard well, and there'll be one of those on each side. And by forming that well, it means I can lock the whole framework into the sides of the boat, into this middle section, and it will be super, super strong, which is obviously what we want. So that's my plan for today. And I can't start gluing really until things warm up, so that's going to be a while. So I'm not sure what I'll do up until then. Probably have my coffee and do a bit of tidying up. And I'll flick the camera back on when I start laminating this into place. So we shall see you when we get to that stage. stay down, down. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. Gonna stay down, down. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. Gonna stay down, down. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. All right, boat lovers, back in the shed this morning. Got the fire on. That's what we need. And I'm working again on the transom aft deck area. I'll show you what I finished yesterday and what I'm about to do today. Here we go, I'll turn the camera around. There's the bulkhead that I put in yesterday. That actually becomes the back of the boat as far as engines are concerned, because as I've explained before, this becomes the back of the boat. The engine bays are here, engines hanging on the back here with the little engine wells here so the engines can tilt forward. This is all enclosed, so the outboards are hidden under this aft deck. I'm about to cut out the spaces in the floor or in the bottom of the hull where the legs of the engine will go down. These holes have to be quite wide because if the engines are turned full to port or full to starboard and somebody tilts them up, we've got to make sure that as they come up, they're not going to foul against any of the parts of the bottom of the boat. I could make a much smaller opening if the engines were just going to be straight and only ever got tilted when the steering was dead center. But of course we can't depend on that happening. Who knows? Somebody can just press the tilt button up at the wrong time and things could catch. So I'll show you what we're cutting out. Alrighty, so hopefully you can see that black line around there. So that is the line on that side. That's about to get cut out. And on this side, we've got this one as well. Hopefully you can see that line running around there, back along here. So those two sections get cut out, and then I've got to make my engine wells and support brackets along the back here, ready for the engines to hang down. This will all be boxed in and sealed with a little hatch each side to get to the bolts at the back of the engine mounts. This all gets enclosed, of course. There'll be a box set up here where the generator sits between the two engines, really well vented out through the sides, etc. So engine there, engine here, generator in the middle, engine well running along here, and no obstruction in between, hopefully, for the steering rod to join the two engines together. I was going to have two partitions here for added strength and then have separate steering controls, like two separate rams for the steering, but that's very expensive. So I'll still put the partitions there, but I'll cut some holes in them to make sure that that steering rod between the two engines has room to move, even when an engine is tilted up or down. So that's my job this morning, cut these holes out, It's always a bit scary cutting into the boat, but I've done all the measurements of the specs for the F60 Yamaha 4-strokes, and I'm sure I'm leaving enough room, etc. Just had a chat to the engine mechanic about the heights of brackets and things, and I've double checked that with all the specs. But the first thing to do is cut these holes out at the back. I'll do that before I put the sides of the boat on, because then I've got room to work. I can get all this fiberglassed and round it off nicely. Then I put the sides on and the flares, engine wells, etc. So that's what I'm doing this morning. All right, let's cut a couple of holes in the bottom of the boat, and hopefully everything's in the right place. Of course, it would all be a lot easier if I just had a solid transom on the back and just hung the outboards on a couple of brackets, but I don't want to see them, and I want this boat to look a little bit traditional, 30s, 40s look a little bit, and of course, you're not going to have outboards hanging on the back of those boats. I did this on my last boat, hiding the engines underneath. It does a couple of things. It looks great. It's great, of course, for sound, because it deadens the sound off quite a lot, and also protects the engines from the elements and the weather. As long as they're vented well, it's great because they're hidden under the aft deck and all protected, so you don't get any fading or sun damage to the outboards. There'll be a hatch on each side at the top. You just lift up, complete access to both engines. So that's the plan. Alrighty, let's make some noise. Alright, that's the bit I can do with the saw. Now I get the jigsaw, cut those corners, and we should have a big hole there. Now I just have to find the jigsaw, wherever I left it. Alrighty, one jigsaw. Get ourselves some power. We're cutting through about 38 mils of plywood plus a thick layer of fiberglass, because underneath here I've got, well, we've got 3 12mm laminations, so that's about 1.5 inches, just over 1.5 inches, and a thick layer of biaxial fiberglass on the bottom with a layer of epoxy and 2-pack paint. So it's a big ask for the jigsaw, but it's only a small cut, so I'll take my time. I should be able to get through that. Alrighty, I'm back. Just had to go and see what the dog Maple was barking at. Of course, it was nothing. She's actually not much of a barker. It's great. She's barks occasionally, but only if there's something to bark at. She's not sort of a boredom dog barker or anything. Really quiet all day. And as I say, 6-month-old puppy. She's fantastic. Alrighty. I had her in the shed this morning for about half an hour, and she got bored, and I've given her a dog chew. She's out on the lawn in the sunshine, enjoying the dog's life, while I'm in here building a boat. Alright, let's try and get this cut out. Actually, I might just clamp this so it doesn't drop. Go. All right, and that shows you the thickness of the bottom of that hull. That's the glass on the bottom with the 2-pack underwater paint, and that's really heavy. This is where a lot of the ballast comes from. A lot of you have asked about ballast in the boat, but with 3 layers of 12mm on the bottom, with a good heavy layer of fiberglass, plus my running boards on the bottom, and capped off with 100mm by 5mm 316 stainless skids, there is a lot of weight right down low, which of course is what you need for a flat bottom boat. So, all right, that's number 1. Whew. Wow, that looks crazy. Of course, all these sides, everything gets supported. Of course, there'll be a transom at the back, but this hole gets mirrored in the transom up around here. So the outboard's hangs here, pivots up like so, out the back and down. The propeller will stick out the back when it's tilted. So if you're standing on the swim platform, you tilt the engine, you'll be able to get to the prop, get any weed off, do what's necessary, tilt it back down. That's the plan. Alrighty, on to the next one. Gives you an idea of how thick that is. So, very, very solid. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to get this rounded off, all these edges rounded off, smoothed off properly, and I'll probably get all this fiberglass into place while I can access everything. Once that's all done and dried, then I'll be putting these side extensions on and starting on the engine wells. Alrighty. Alright folks, I've just done a massive tidy up so I can see what I'm doing here. Was tripping over myself with everything, so I'm about to have a lunch break, but I thought I'd do a tidy up first. I'll give you a little look at the area that I'm working in. I know you saw this before, but at least it's all tidy now. So I've got some space around here to work. And there we go, that's the underneath edge under there. Ready for glassing. All right, now that that's all tidy, I'm gonna have a good lunch break, and after that I'm gonna come back and keep working on this aft area. We'll see you then. Alright boat lovers, that's pretty much from me for this week. I'm going to end this video now. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up, hit the like button, and remember to subscribe. Maple and I will look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Alrighty, we'll see you in the boat shed then. Take care.